and welcome to India Ideas. I'm Gautam Roy. Well, this is a show that we talk about tech and innovation as well as science and all that comes with it. It is a place that we have reserved on the network for all the people who want to make India a place which is flourishing with technology and innovation. And gaming is a space which is now opening up like never before in the country because of the number of active mobile phone users. The COVID induced lockdown has been a blessing in disguise for this particular industry, particularly the startups as well, because what it has led to is a lot of people downloading apps, gaming apps, and that is one area where the numbers, if I talk about it, and I will talk about them in the course of the discussion, are astounding. The potential is huge. And to talk about it today, how things are going to be in future, we've got key players in the industry as well as those who are supporting them in the government. Let's start with introducing them. MyGov CEO Abhishek Singh is with us, playing a very, very important role in fostering all kinds of startups. We have Games 24/7 co-founder and CEO Bhavan Pandya as well, a well-known player himself in the industry. Hit Wicket Superstars co-founder Kriti Singh is with us. Starfall, the Royal Combat co-founder Jamesh Kumar Lakhani with us as well. Two of them won the Atmanirbhar Bharat App Innovation Challenge that was held by the government, and MyGov led that process. Just tell me, Abhishek, this particular field, the gaming field, as far as startups go, the challenge is one thing, but what can you tell us about the potential and how do you see, the potential right now being exploited?
See, the gaming industry is one of the fastest growing segments in technology as we see across the world. And the gaming apps have created a lot of value for various companies which have produced them and the countries from which they come in. When we look at the game download statistics, India is one of the top nations where games are downloaded and played. But when you look at the top companies which produce these games, none of them were from India. So with the objective of like promotion of apps and promotion of gaming apps in India, gaming was included as one of the categories of the App Innovation Challenge. And we were astounded to find the talent that we have in the country. And we got more than 800, more than 1,000 apps in this category that were submitted and that were analyzed, that went through a very rigorous process by the jury. And the apps which is chosen, and two of them are present here today, the Hit Wicket app and the Starfall app. They're as good as any other app that you'll find anywhere else. And the third app, which was rewarded, the World Cricket Championship, it's already a name across the world. It's used in the Big Bash League. It's used across the world. So all these apps have a huge potential and a huge market, and they have given hope to a lot of app developers across the country. And when I talk to VCs and when I talk to funds, they are looking at similar such apps which are under development. In fact, many people come to us and say that which are the ones who did not win the award, because many of them have great potential to that. So towards that direction, I think that the future of Indian gaming industry, the app development ecosystem is very bright. All that we need to do is to recognize them at the right time, ensure that they are able to fight the other big popular apps which are promoted by China or the US because they have deep pockets. To initially establish these apps, need to struggle to find a place in the market. And once people start using them, then they realize that they have a lot of features that are not there in other apps.
Definitely. And we are, of course, filling the gaps where the banned apps are concerned as well. PUBG, one of them, very popular in India, but now banned because of security concerns. And Kriti, PUBG is, of course, a different kind of an app, a gaming app from yours. Yours is, the name itself is quite clear in terms of which sport is it talking about. Hit Wicket Superstars. Just tell us about how you plan to get into this space, because this particular space right now is just looking to take off, with sports coming back and the IPL just around the corner.
Yeah, so I would say that, when it comes to mobile gaming, it's a very perfect blend of technology and creativity. It's the most cutting edge product because there are millions of users competing at the same time. And then there is creativity part where you need to connect to the user at an emotional level. when you see a lot of social apps, users are spending time on it. But to have a mobile game where people spend money on it, it's a different ball game altogether. And what we need to do as Indian developers is to think that the quality bar is that high. People, Indian gamers today, they are playing the
Yes.
best game, and that is the inspiration with which we need to build. And I would say that, cricket being the second most followed sport in India has a great potential. When we are trying to marry the mass appeal of cricket with the emotional connect of mobile gaming and
Yes.
make out a gaming success from India. India is right now number one in terms of game downloads, but revenue is the growth curve that we still need to catch on to. And we are very confident that, with cricket behind us, we can put mobile gaming, India's mobile gaming on the world map.
Well, certainly that is what we're all hoping for, because it's a huge, huge market world over in billions and billions of dollars, $77 billion mobile app gaming itself. And we're looking for a big slice, because this is going to be the biggest market as far as mobile game is concerned. But Jamish, just tell us about, because a lot of things are said about how Indian gaming apps are designed, and that the graphics and the narrative is not all that great. But I believe you're trying to tell a different story altogether with your game. I was asking you, not part of the show, a little bit earlier about Fortnite, and you said Fortnite is not as good as yours.
No, मैंने ये नहीं बोला था कि Fortnite is not good as mine, but मैंने सिर्फ ऐसा बोला था कि उनकी जो ग्राफिक्स जो है वो टून में, और हमारे जो ग्राफिक्स है वो रियलिस्टिक बेस पर है. मतलब थीम दोनों गेम्स की अलग अलग है. जैसे हिट विकेट है तो वो भी एक मतलब टून बेस्ड गेम है जिसमें भी लोगों को खेलने का बहुत मजा आता है, और रियलिस्टिक काइंड ऑफ जो भी ग्राफिक्स रहते हैं उसमें सभी चीजें हम लोगों को रियलिस्टिक डालनी पड़ती है और रियलिस्टिक ग्राफिक्स देना पड़ता है.
ओके तो अभी तक किस तरह का आपका अनुभव रहा है, क्योंकि आपकी भी एक तरह से नई ही गेम है, और ये जो आपने चैलेंज जीता है माईगव ने जो होस्ट किया था उसके बलबूते पे और उनकी हैंड होल्डिंग के साथ आप किस तरह की उम्मीद कर रहे हैं, खासकर इस फेज में जब गेमिंग एक तरह से बूम करना शुरू हो गई है?
एक्चुअली मुझे तो बहुत हाई होप है कि हम लोग का एक मतलब ड्रीम है कि शूटिंग गेम कैटेगरी में कोई भी ऐसी गेम नहीं है जो वर्ल्ड वाइड इतनी पॉपुलर हो, जो मार्केट में मतलब उसका बूम हो कि सब लोगों को पता हो. जैसे पबजी है, वो सब लोगों को पता है कि ये पबजी करके कोई गेम है, वर्ल्ड में सब लोगों को पता है जो भी शूटिंग गेमर्स है. तो हम लोगों की बस वही ड्रीम है कि स्कारफॉल गेम सब लोगों को पता होनी चाहिए, सब लोगों के जहन में होनी चाहिए कि ये मेड इन इंडिया गेम है जो मतलब इंडियन लोगों ने बनाई है, और वो इतनी वर्ल्ड वाइड पॉपुलर है, और हम लोग भी ऐसा बना सकते हैं.
Right, right. Bhavin, you've been around for years now, and you were in a completely different, business before this, and then it was a complete change. How did that happen, and what can you tell, people like Kriti and Jamish, what can they take away from your journey? Because you guys are now huge. Rummy Circle is huge.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Gautam, for having me on the show. Abhishek, a great initiative. Our country definitely needs that. Kirti, Jamish, many congratulations to you, to both of you. It's young developers like you who are really going to take our country forward. Gautam, to answer your question, back in 2006, so about almost 15 years ago, end of 2005, I came down to India to do what people are now doing, saying that, look, we're a bright, shining star in the global ecosystem, and that India is going to do great things in years to come. Our economy was growing really quickly back in the day. And our view was very simple, that people will need different forms of entertainment, right? The internet will come of age. There'll be better gaming technology, like the smartphones took off in a big way. And so our view was very simple, that let's engage people through games that they've always enjoyed playing. And for us, the evergreen games that came to our mind were games like chess, rummy, that we've grown up playing as a nation. And as Kirti mentioned earlier, how can we really do this in a way that's very engaging, that people will play it for just that little bit of money, so that it gives them it gives them that thrill of the game. And early days were obviously tough because, one, we were ahead of our times. There were no startups back in the day. People didn't understand what startups really were. It's only after in 2012, 13, when some of these e-commerce companies came about, that startups became very popular. But before that, there was none of that. So we had to sort of, build a team. That took us a while. The perceptions that we had issues with, that, oh, there is a card game, which is rummy, and there's money. How can this be legitimate? But obviously the Supreme Court on multiple occasions has said that it's a game of skill, and you can wager money on a game of skill. You're protected under the Constitution. We were eventually able to convince the payment gateways to work with us. HDFC Bank, notably, then SBI, they started working with us. That gave us legitimacy. We were able to get Google and Facebook to change their policies for India once we educated them about games of skill being different from other games that you can play for money. And so they changed their policy to allow us to advertise. And once we started doing that, the thing that we realized, two things that I'm going to talk about. One is our people and our processes. We are here today simply because of the fantastic team that we've built. We believe amazing companies are built by amazing teams. And then the process, our operating ethos of, let us try and figure out every little thing that we can about players, right? And that would be my 2 cents to Kirti, to Jamie said, really understand your player as much as you can. That's very, very important, right? And we obviously employ the latest and greatest in data sciences, machine learning, artificial intelligence to be able to do that, right? Because we want to provide awesome game playing experiences. And my awesome is different from your awesome. But how can we both get great experiences is where sort of we leverage a lot of technology. And that's what we are at the heart of it. We're a technology company, really trying to understand our players and offer them games that they will enjoy playing. So, of course, we did Rummy Circle, but now we're doing My 11 Circle, where with the IPL, like you said, around the corner, fantasy is really in the air, as they say, right? Everyone's talking about fantasy sports. And Kirti has also developed a cricket game. And lastly, and this is the most important point, that look, now we also believe that from India, we can go and conquer the world, right? We're launching a game, in fact, in the next week, that's going to be for the American audience. We've developed, designed, built a game out of India, everyone Indian, for the American audience, and that game is coming out in the next week through our Ultimate Games division. So we're totally sort of fully endorsing this view that we got to build in India for the global world, right? And as people are seeing that, there's a lot of investor interest and all of that also, as I'm sure everyone is noticing. But the big deal now is that we, as a country, as a nation, are ready to take the world by storm in the domain of gaming and really go out there and make a splash.
Great, that is really great, and all the best to you as far as that launch in the US is concerned with a new game. But Abhishek, these are, of course, challenging times because of how things have changed, especially in the COVID era. But for gaming, it's a blessing in disguise. But at the same time, in terms of ensuring that you put out the best product, there's so many things that you have to consider. It's about user interface. It's also about, I think, when AAA games are concerned, people who are gamers, they want to show others as well that they're really good at what they're doing, and all that takes, like Bhavan was saying, a lot of technology and a lot of learning that you need to put in place. Are we there yet?
In fact, what Bhavin said makes a lot of sense. And this is what, in fact, when the jury presentations were on, all the jury members were telling the app developers, like, see, this app innovation challenge and winning it is just a one-off thing. It doesn't mean that you have got the certificate that you're the best in the world. What it requires to actually be the best in India and best in the world is to ensure that your apps are robust, they are scalable, they're able to take up load when the load goes up. It should not, the user experience should not change if there are a billion people playing it or 1,000, 100 or hundreds of thousands playing it. So that is an aspect which will require a lot of technology, a lot of investment, a lot of innovation. And at the same time, in fact, I remember when Jamish Bhai was making a presentation, and his opening line was that we are the PUBG of India. I said, why are you aspiring to be the PUBG of India? Don't you want PUBG to say that they are the Scarfall of the world? So that way, aspirational level has to be recalibrated. So while PUBG and Fortnite might be very big, but it's not that you cannot get bigger. And again, copy paste doesn't work in this field. you have to think of innovating and trying to ensure how best we can do. In fact, one of the suggestions which again Jemishko during the presentations I had told him that can you think of making like shooting is all right, but what about bows and arrows and using Indian mythology and like maybe Abhimanyu's Chakravyuh, like make a game like Abhimanyu's Chakravyuh, which is known amongst all Indians. Like there was no way to come out, but if you have a game in which there is a way to come out, so that will attract a lot of people who will play that game. So if you keep this creativity, if you bring some Indian element in it, number one, you'll capture the Indian market. And even for the global world, if you take it, people will say that it's different. It's different from what PUBG is or what Fortnite is. And it's not only about shooting and all. So that innovation part, that part, and the other part is of scalability and robustness. That will be very critical for success if they have to really make it big in the world. And the same applies for Kirti and Rummy Circle or Dream 11 or fantasy games which are coming up. In all such games, you have to constantly make changes, have new interfaces, use artificial intelligence, give prompts like what you have done, like what social media platforms do, what Facebook does, what Instagram does. So based on the games that he has liked, the games he has repeated, wherein repeats the game. So think of making it as creative as possible so that users get hooked onto it. And once you are able to hook on Indian users, you'll be able to scale up for other users also. So those elements will be as critical as winning the challenge.
Yes, a lot of it is word of mouth, and that is very important. Gaming community is it's wide, but it's very close knit as well, and word really gets around really fast. But that's what I wanted to ask you about, Kirti, as well. You know, you guys have come up with a cricket app, which is great. Cricket is very popular in India, but there are other sports as well. Look at how the Kabaddi League took off. So why didn't you think about that? Because cricket is a rather crowded space too.
So, when we talk about cricket, the conversation is about the strategy aspect of the cricket, not really the timing of the shot. We are still debating that Dhoni should have come up the order in the World Cup finals. So these are the conversations that make cricket such a unique sport. And this strategy part is which, keeps a long-term engagement. And that is what we wanted to capture. There was no game in the market right now which captures this strategic element. And then again, cricket is just a tool in the game. It's a sport that people are familiar with. Talking about creativity, if you look at the best global titles in the world, Clash of Clans, PUBG, Fortnite, they are all very fantasized experience. They're highly immersive. They take user into a magical journey, something that you would not see in the real world. So what we are trying to do is using cricket as a sport, as a tool, and blending it with a lot of magical, fantasized, virtual elements, and that's probably reflective in the kind of user base we have. 20% of our gamers are women. We have 30% users outside India. And we feel that, cricket is just like a step in the door. And there are a lot of gameplay inspirations that we have taken from the best games out there to create a game in which the user is so immersed that he can forget what's happening. It's like a de-stress for him. It's his moment of joy and delight.
डेफिनेटली और जीवन दूसरी चुनौती जो आ सकती है और शायद आ भी रही होगी कि निवेशक इन्वेस्टर्स किस तरह से ढूंढे जाएं, क्योंकि इन्वेस्टर्स जरूरी हैं अगर आपको स्केल अप करना है तो और इन्वेस्टर किस तरह का होना चाहिए वो भी बड़ा सवाल है. अब स्टॉक मार्केट के बड़े बड़े जो बिग बुल्स बोलते हैं वो भी गेमिंग इंडस्ट्री में इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं. 180 करोड़ की बात हो रही है कि इन्वेस्ट किया गया है, लेकिन कई लोग कहते हैं कि इन्वेस्टर ऐसा होना चाहिए जो बिल्कुल गेमिंग में घुसा हुआ आपकी तरह, जैसे फाउंडर्स होते हैं वैसे घुसा हुआ होना चाहिए. तो इसमें आपकी क्या राय है?
हाँ गौतम जी, सही में हम लोग का मतलब वही फाइंड आउट कर रहे हैं अभी हम लोग कि सिर्फ इन्वेस्ट करे उतना काफी नहीं है, क्योंकि हम लोगों को और भी टेक्नोलॉजी में भी और भी चैलेंजेस है, ग्राफिक्स में, टेक्नोलॉजी में, जो अभी हम लोग इम्प्रूव कर सकते हैं. जैसे मतलब हम लोग पबजी और फोर्टनाइट जो आपने बोला उनसे तो बहुत पीछे है अभी, लेकिन उसके लेवल से आगे जाने के लिए हम लोगों को जो भी इन्वेस्टर वगैरह जो भी हम लोगों को हेल्प करेंगे वो टेक्नोलॉजी में और ग्राफिक्स में जो भी हमारे हम लोगों की लिमिटेशंस है वो सब हटा के हम लोगों को मतलब मदद कर पाए, वो सबसे अच्छी चीज है. बाकी तो मतलब इन्वेस्टर पैसे तो कोई भी दे सकता है. मतलब इधर भी कैसे बहुत सारे लोकलाइट्स है जो हम लोग को बोल रहे हैं कि भाई हमारे पैसे ले लो, हम लोगों को मतलब हम लोग को इन्वेस्ट करना है आपकी गेम में, आपका फ्यूचर दिख रहा है वगैरह वगैरह. लेकिन वो मतलब फ्यूचर का कोई मतलब नहीं है जब तक इन्वेस्टर खुद गेम के अंदर इंटरेस्टेड नहीं है.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल. And Bhavan, in terms of how do you scale up as far as the gaming industry is concerned, what kind of market are we seeing? You're a big player yourself. So if you talk about ride-hailing apps and aggregators, they wanted to capture the market, and they were giving a lot of incentives initially. Then the market changed, and now we're in a different space where the Ubers and the Olas are concerned. But what's happening in the gaming industry? Because ultimately you want to be profitable, you want to have good revenues. How do you go about getting hold of that?
Sure, Gautam. One, you're absolutely right. Back in the day, before we came to India, the model that was very prevalent was that you play a game and you rely on the player clicking on some ad that is shown in your game. And if someone clicks on that ad in your game, then you get money for publishing that game. But there's only so much of the ad that a person will click on. The game will get boring after a while. So you had to figure out a way to offer a service, right? You had to figure out a way to get people playing evergreen games to come together, to come on a common platform. You max them with other players, and have them play together and have a good time. And that's where we saw this opportunity and that's what's happening right now, that if someone wants to be a profitable business, the way to go in India right now is skill games, right? Because skill games are the only games that you can offer for money legitimately in India. And there are a lot of players, successful players out there that have sort of said that we're going to go take skill games out and have players compete against one another, where the thrill for playing for a little bit of money is what adds that extra bit, but it's a fun, exciting way to play the game. And so I think that's where we are. To build a profitable business, skill gaming is the way to go. That's what Rummy is, Fantasy is, a lot of other games that are out there.
And so is the premium. So is the freemium mode. Is that the best?
I'll talk about that. So the freemium mode is a game where you pay to play, which is like you buy chips or you buy time to play, but you get nothing in return. In a skill game, you actually get money in return if you sort of put some money there. Okay. And because you get no money in a freemium game, the Indian consumer today, he's a casual player. He's not a casual payer. All the casual payers even now are abroad. That's why we're launching our game in the Western markets, right? I'm sure Indians will get there one day, because right now gaming is sort of becoming a very well-knit part of our fabric. Like, think of kids when they're 4, 5, 6, start learning math through games, start learning their histories and geographies and even languages through games. And so gaming is sort of getting interwoven in our culture now. And it's only a matter of time before for casual games people will pay. But that's not the case right now. And so right now, if you have to monetize, if you have to build a successful business, it's happening on the back of skill games in India. And the way people are marketing them is simply to sort of try and figure out the right kind of audience, which is a 25 plus person right now. And we have a huge demographic tailwind. We have half of our population, that's 600 million people, right, who have just come of age and are going to continue to sort of come of age over the years. And I think that's why.
And they're tech savvy, they can use their mobiles, and right now people have spare time as well. So that instead of OTTs could be spent in skill gaming as well. But Abhishek, let's get your perspective on this as well. In terms of how do we ensure that all these startups that are popping up, especially in the gaming sphere, since we're talking about that, sustain and become employers of others, and it's an ecosystem that grows and grows and grows to its fullest potential.
See, like as was said by Jamesh and by Bhavin also, ultimately the revenue model, the business model will have to come up. Okay, like, how do you monetize it? Whether it's skill-based or whatever user experience you are giving in, it has to be monetized at some level. And when you are able to do that, and when you have crossed the threshold level of player user base, then that monetization will attract investors. And once that happens, then the ecosystem can be sustained. So number one, we need to educate. Indian gaming industry is growing, but it needs to grow further to be able to get Indians to spend money on these apps. Okay. And number two, the Indian investors, the risk appetite of Indian investors is also very low right now. They don't invest in, they prefer to do fixed deposits and all rather than investing into a business that may give us long return, more returns after some time. But that will also, that's also changing slowly. And once the government gives a kind of recognition to some of these apps, whether it's gaming or other categories, then there will be people who will feel that it is worth enough to invest some money and get some returns in due course. So that that will change, and that will define a lot of value for the developers who are in this field.
Yes, I know one of the best rated games around these days is Ghost of Tsushima, and it took about 5 years to develop. I don't know if investors will have that kind of appetite. Once they see the potential, I'm sure there will be people popping up as well. Already money's coming in. It's in millions, not in billions right now. But quick closing comments on one thing that I want to ask all our three founders, co-founders of different gaming apps. Let me start with you, Bhavin. A lot of questions, especially parents have in their minds about a self-regulatory aspect, you know, कि बच्चे बहुत टाइम स्पेंड करते हैं मोबाइल डिवाइसेस पे गेम खेलते हुए कुछ ना कुछ होना चाहिए इनका टाइम लिमिट जाना चाहिए या फिर वाईफाई बंद हो जाना चाहिए कुछ टाइम में तो ऐसा कुछ सोच रहे हैं आप
बिल्कुल हमने सोचा नहीं हमने इनफैक्ट किया है Gautam and thank you for asking this question. The rummy industry has formed what's called the Online Rummy Federation, TORF. And if you go and check out all the apps that are part of the Rummy Federation, you will see that they all have time limits and play limits. You set your time limits, and the company also sets the time limit, and you cannot play for more than that. You yourself can go and restrict yourself and exclude yourself from playing, which is from 72 hours all the way to 6 months. And once you exclude yourself from there, then you can't go anywhere else and play either. So the industry is actually making a concerted effort here to make sure that people are playing just for entertainment, just a little bit of thrill the money brings, but purely for entertainment and for nothing else.
So as a father of a 9-year-old, that gives me a lot of solace, and you know, it's a source of relief for me. Jamish, आप क्या कहेंगे इसके बारे में?
एक्चुअली हम लोगों का भी 30 to 35 मिनट का गेम प्ले टाइमर है और पर यूजर इतना ही लेते हैं और हम लोगों का भी ऐसा ही है कि अगर ये बढ़ गया मतलब 3 से 4 घंटा हो गया तो कभी कभी कैसा हो जाता है कि कोई प्लेयर है जो 8-8 घंटे खेल रहा है मतलब ऑन एन एवरेज टाइम तब तक हम लोगों को 30 मिनट मतलब 3 घंटे का नहीं मिलता है जब तक कोई प्लेयर बहुत ज्यादा खेलता हो तो हम लोगों का भी वही है कि हम लोग रिस्ट्रिक्शन लगाने वाले उससे पहले कि मतलब कोई पेरेंट्स आके हम लोगों को इधर ही मारे
Okay, and Kriti, last word from you.
Yeah, so Elon Musk got into technology through video games. Sachin Bansal, Vinny Bansal were gamers themselves. And you know, a lot of technologists all over the world are the ones who hopped onto technology through mobile games or video games for that matter. And like we discussed before also, you know, gaming is one of the cutting edge outcomes of technology. So it's like how you perceive it. Obviously, you wouldn't want people to get addicted to a point where it, you know, interferes with their daily routine. But, you know, trying to understand the depth of technology in mobile gaming and if it can actually, you know, motivate you to make a career out of it, be it streamers, game developers, or you know people who are coding getting into art. I think the potential and the opportunities are many.
Yes.
And if
Prime Minister Modi himself talked about as well, you know, promoting getting you know, vocal for local as far as indigenous toys are concerned, and this is just taking a little forward. Startups can get into traditional games too, and I'm sure that in the gaming world will it can be quite revolutionary, and let's hope that for the moment the kind of ecosystem that is developing startups in gaming really grows to its fullest potential. Thanks a lot for joining us to talk about you know what is happening in the gaming world with startups there. Thank you.